Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. I hope you guys are all feeling fantastic out there this morning and having a great start to your day and a great week out there so far as we're moving on through it. Got you a big update this morning, and we're really going to talk about what's going to happen today because today is going to be pretty active on its own. You know, I kind of lied to you guys a few days ago when I told you I thought we were going to enter a less active period of weather for the first half of February. Mother Nature has decided to do the complete opposite as we have a pretty strong but compact system that is beginning to dig deep into the south central U.S. and will eventually eject itself across the middle of the country. This is going to create a severe weather event across the deep south today, and then even create a little bit of severe weather issues for tomorrow. But I think today will be the worst day. But when I say worse, I'm not talking about an outbreak by any means, but we are going to have the potential for some dangerous storms today. So we need to talk about that. And then later tonight, a very compact snowstorm will crank up across areas of maybe northern Missouri up to Iowa into the Midwest area. There's going to be a relatively small area that could see some pretty heavy wet snow. So we're going to talk a little bit on that also and give you a kind of an update on that tonight also, which will be the last video we really kind of talk about this system that's right here in front of us. Then stay tuned for the second half of the video, which I understand is probably the reason why most people are tuning in this morning. We're going to give you the latest model information on what's going on with this weekend storm. And I'm going to go on and tell you right off the dot, it's going to excite some people because models have done nothing but double down. In fact, we finally got the Euro to bite on kind of what the GFS is showing, but the GFS is even more aggressive. The run this morning certainly is going to make areas further south a little bit more excited, but just remember, this is not forecast material, but we are starting to get a little bit closer to that short range. So I want to let you guys know that. But everything you see on these videos or on social media in general, I always want to say this, guys. Do not wholeheartedly believe all this stuff and make it a conclusion in your head. I know some people are cracking some jokes in the comments saying, I'm going to tell everybody. But I'm telling you, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment, joke or not, because people are going to believe kind of what they want to believe, right? And trust me, I want to believe this, but I'm not going to tell everybody and their brother here in South Carolina that it's going to snow. But we're going to talk about that. Don't want to keep rambling. I always do that. But if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. And if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And then stay tuned for tonight, guys. I think tonight will be a really big video. But we're going to give you some good information towards the second half of the video. But we need to talk about what's going on right now. That is this a cutoff low that's digging into the south central U.S. It's beginning to have more of a neutral tilt to it, meaning it's tilting more so like this, and then eventually it'll tilt negative, which it'll tilt like this, which means it's becoming more powerful, and the dynamics begin to become more maxed out, if you will. So regardless, we already have a lot of shower and storm activity in Texas. In fact, you can see the clouds bubbling up here, a lot of water vapor showing up, a lot of water in the atmosphere, basically, and you can see it pretty well here on the water vapor loop. So you're already having showers and even some storm activity popping off in areas of Texas. Last time I looked, I didn't see any severe thunderstorm warnings or anything like that, but we'll watch a little bit further east today into Louisiana, Mississippi, and southern Arkansas. And we're going to talk about that for you folks because I know you guys have been under the gun a lot. All these like tan colors right here, tan, we'll stick with that. I've been labeled as colorblind in a couple videos. It's just a funny joke, but I believe that you would call this more of a sand or tan color right here. These are wind advisories. So we certainly need to know that when these systems become negatively tilted, they create a lot of strong winds. The isobars become tighter, and basically you have just a lot of strong winds. And then you have high wind watches up for the Ohio Valley, which might get upgraded to a high wind warning. We'll see what happens here. And then we got the winter storm watches still up for areas of Iowa and Wisconsin, one county in northwest Illinois, and then one county in far southeast Minnesota. And some winter weather advisories up in these areas right in here. I believe that includes Milwaukee. I'm not sure. But flood watch is up for all the green counties down here. Some dense fog advisories. So I really think this is going to become more littered with advisories, watches, warnings as we go throughout the later morning hours and the afternoon hours. Probably some severe thunderstorm watches get issued. Maybe a tornado watch. I would not be surprised at all. Speaking of severe weather, there is a slight risk. This has not been upgraded as of right now. A lot of times the Storm Prediction Center likes to upgrade their outlooks about an hour or two after I drop these morning videos. So I wouldn't be surprised if it gets upgraded to something or expands or shrinks, whatever it may be. Right now, a slight risk. This has been backed up a little bit further west to include Shreveport, extending a little bit further north to include Little Rock, even up to Memphis, Jackson, Mississippi, down here to New Orleans, areas of the Bayou, and then Baton Rouge, and I would say about 85-90% of the state of Louisiana, basically, and all of central and western half of Mississippi. Tornado risk, there's a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles on any given location today. So be aware of that in this brown shaded area. Damaging winds, guys, are going to be an issue. You could have damaging winds as far north as Illinois, just because there's going to be a lot of winds mixing to the surface with this trough getting that negative tilt to it, which means it's strengthening. When you have a strengthening, the millibars are dropping, kind of like a hurricane. When the millibar number drops, that means it's strengthening. Same kind of deal with this. So you're going to have damaging wind potential all the way up here in areas of the Midwest and Ohio Valley. Okay, there will be a hail threat really early in the storm mode, but not expecting a huge hail threat today. But it seems like every time I say that, we end up having hailstorms. So you never know. Just be aware. Flash flooding today, there is a slight risk. This is really hovering over a lot of the state of Arkansas, but areas of southeast Missouri, small section of southeast Oklahoma also. There is a slight risk for flash flood guidance being met today. That is at least a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being met in that specific area here in the yellow area. So there's going to be another rounds of heavy rain today. You saw it all overnight in these areas. You're probably seeing it right now. But let's talk about the areas that could get severe weather first. We already have showers and storms out there in Texas this morning. We already got rounds of heavy rain that you're waking up to in areas of western and northern Arkansas and southern Missouri this morning. We'll keep this rolling. And you can already tell. In fact, you already have a mix of rain and snow report here in western Texas. It just tells you that this cutoff upper low is already cranking up. All right, so you're already, as you're getting into about the 9-10 a.m., you're already mixing with a little bit of burst of heavy snow potential here in western Oklahoma, but we're really going to focus on the severe weather threat here. We keep this going, and what's going to happen here is a sector is going to open up around midday here in Louisiana, where you'll probably have a capped environment, meaning updrafts really can't get going into the atmosphere and storms can't develop. But quickly that will erode aloft, meaning you're going to have rapid storm development in this area. This is the main piece of energy associated with the strengthening low pressure right here. Rounds of heavy rain. You will have strong winds also probably in northern Arkansas, so be aware of that. And then as we're moving into, I would say, let's say 4 or 5 p.m., okay? I know it says 5 p.m. up here, but that is in Eastern time, so back that up 1 hour for you folks in Central time. You already got a little bit of storm development here in Mississippi, parts of Alabama. I don't know if this will have much of a severe weather threat, but it could. But look at these rounds of storms developing here in central and southern areas of Louisiana. Thermodynamics will be better down here, better low-level moisture, better CAPE values, which won't be that high, but maybe high enough to certainly support a severe weather threat. This will continue, and there's 2 rounds, especially for Jackson. The first round moves right around sunset, moves through severe storms, moving through the area. Same thing with Shreveport around dinner time or your way home from work. Some severe storms will be moving through, damaging wind threat, and there will be a tornado threat. I can't tell you exactly where there's going to be a tornado. It's funny the amount of comments I get. Is there going to be tornadoes in such and such city, Mississippi? Man, if I could tell you exactly where a tornado is going to be, guys, I could save a lot of lives. And, that would be amazing because nobody would die from tornadoes. But we can't do that, unfortunately. But we can tell you the general idea that has the most favorable conditions for a tornado or 2. And that is this area right into here. So watch out for all these storms, even southern to central areas of Arkansas. Damaging winds up here, even associated with this blob of rain moving into Illinois later this afternoon. I wouldn't say damaging winds, but you're going to have gusty winds. And then you could have damaging winds as you're getting into tomorrow morning. But look at this cranking up low pressure right here. It's beginning to drop. This gets sub 1,000 millibar low pressure overnight. And it just tells us it's deepening. The dynamics is maxing out. You got heavy wet snow potentially showing up here. It might mix with snow in Kansas City overnight tonight. Accumulations, I don't know. It just depends on how heavy it's going to fall. The National Weather Service really isn't going to give you all anything, but these cutoff lows are wild, and it's going to be wild this weekend too. But these are 2 different systems, so we're not going to talk about that yet, but hold on, and we will. But these storms begin to move into eastern Arkansas, knock on the door of Memphis. They might begin to break up overnight into Mississippi, and you'll just have a thin line of storms that begins to work through overnight tonight, and this will blast through areas of western Tennessee, western Kentucky, even southern areas of Illinois. Even eventually make its way into southern areas of Indiana, into the wee hours of the morning. And this little line right here, I'm talking 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, depending on where your location is. This could be some strong winds associated with this line. It'll be very quick moving, but some strong winds. You know, look at this low pressure. 991 millibar low pressure right over Missouri. Wild to see. Rainfall between now and the next 24 hours, guys. Lots of heavy rain. You're already seeing it this morning in Arkansas, but you could get another 1 to 2, maybe as much as 3 inches of rain here in central to northern areas of Arkansas, southeast Oklahoma, and southern sections of Missouri will be the epicenter of the heaviest rain. But, you know, anywhere from a ½ inch to maybe 2 inches of rain could fall down here in Louisiana, southern Mississippi. So don't let your guard down for flooding down here, especially if the storms are going over the same areas. Southeast today, let me tell you guys, in the southeast, this is going to be extremely warm today. I use the word extreme. That's pretty extreme, but it's going to throw everybody in a spring fever. I can tell you, widespread 70s, even a couple areas that we'll see an 80-degree reading. I'll talk about that here in a second, but we already broke down this. Storms moving through areas, the south central and deep south right over here. Then like I mentioned, watch out for this little thin line of storms moving through Mississippi, then to Alabama, moves through Huntsville around 6, 7 a.m. tomorrow. And then this continues to move, and then we could have some shower activity. But you lose the forcing down here just due to the fact that the low pressure shoots across, ejects across the northern portions of the country. So you really lose any kind of forcing that the low pressure creates for any kind of storm development. But you could get some severe storms that are possible. In fact, there's a marginal risk tomorrow. But we're not going to talk about tomorrow. We're in today. But the Northeast, all right, it's pretty quiet. It really is. There's going to be a round of rain that moves through Ohio, which really isn't the Northeast, but it shows up in the Northeast frame. Round of rain that moves through. This will be plain old liquid that blasts through. But, you know, in general, the winds will certainly pick up tomorrow morning, but it's going to be a pretty quiet day in the Northeast. Nothing to really speak on today. That'll be a little bit different tomorrow. North Central U.S., the big story comes in tonight. Most of the day today quiet, but you see this moisture on the increase here in Missouri and Illinois as this strong low pressure begins to move into this area. All right, here it goes. You got some moisture showing up in eastern Iowa. Look at this heavier snow. It switches to heavy snow in Kansas City and western Missouri. And then this could be very heavy wet snow in northern Missouri as you're waking up tomorrow morning. And I'll stop it right here. Heavy snow falling. I would argue that maybe this is snow where it's showing green, but this is the beginning stages of a quick hitting snowstorm. But so by we get into tomorrow morning, I would say mid to late morning, that there is going to be kind of a corridor of very heavy wet snow from somewhere in southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, northwest Illinois. Someone is going to get slammed with some heavy 1 to 2 inch per hour rates of snow here. Okay, and then someone's going to get dry slotted. And that's going to be close to areas like Milwaukee, where when you have a strong low pressure, it robs all the moisture. But wherever the moisture is, it's very intense. So we'll talk more on this tonight. There's a lot to talk about, guys, really is. But snowfall latest, it's kind of moved a little bit further southeast. So it looks like the epicenter of the heaviest snow, they're saying, might be in southern Wisconsin, where you could get maybe 7 to 8 inches of snow max. And then several inches of snow is possible in eastern Iowa, I still think. But I would aim more so that 3 to 4 inch range. So we'll talk more on this tonight, guys. Temperatures, look how warm it's going to be in the southeast. It's like it's just for the southeast and mid-south. Widespread 70s as far north as probably southern Virginia, as far west as Louisiana. Somewhere in Mississippi, Alabama, it'll probably rise to about 80 degrees. It certainly will do so probably in southern Georgia and Florida. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get some mid-70s in the Carolinas. But outside of that, even though it's much cooler in all these other areas, it's above average temperature-wise for everybody you see on this map. This is above average temperatures. 35 degrees for Minneapolis on February 8th is above average, I believe. Pretty sure. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure your average high this time of the year is below freezing. But, I don't pretend to know everybody's average high and average low. Here we go. Let's talk about this system as we get into this weekend, which is probably the timestamp everybody clicked on. Not everybody, because there is people that's going to get affected by some nasty weather today. But let's talk about this. One thing I'll show you right at the dot is the European has bited on this. All right, so what we do know is it's going to be a soaker Friday in the southeast. I've mentioned that many times. This could last now all the way through Saturday. Okay, but as this is happening, a cutoff low. You see these blue lines? That is a cutoff low digging. It gets lost in the mainstream of things, and it's bringing its own cold air. I know I haven't mentioned this, but it is possible if this digs this far south, which now all models are showing, you could have a period of snow in Mississippi and certain areas further west in the deep south. It is very possible. I'm not saying it's likely, but it is possible. But you see how there's this blue line right here, and it's kind of circled? That is basically cold air aloft, meaning at the surface it might not support snow, but aloft it does. So if the precipitation is falling harder enough, it's going to fall as snow at the surface. We'll talk about all this in much more detail tonight, but I will mention a couple things in this video. But here we go. The Euro, we're getting into the Saturday evening at this point. You see little pockets of blue. This shows us that there's cold air aloft. This thing is digging, guys. This is going to be a washout of a weekend for, unfortunately, most of the southeast, which stinks because I need to get out there and practice with my oldest girl some soccer stuff too, so I can be great at being a coach next Tuesday. Soaker, and I got a lot of yard work to do too. Oof, got a lot of yard work to do. But this is looking like a soaker. Unfortunately, this digs and the low pressure forms and really gets going right off the coast of South Carolina. So this is the middle of the night, Saturday and a Sunday. Blue's already starting to show up. Here you got pockets of blue, and as this begins to strengthen, it gets kind of lost in the flow of things. Now the European Sunday morning, you're waking up to an absolute snow bomb going off here in areas of the Triad of North Carolina, the mountains of North Carolina, even Southwest Virginia. And look at the blue showing up here in western South Carolina. Okay, it's a cutoff low. It brings its own energy. It brings its own cold air. So this stuff can happen. When you look at March 2009, we look at 2014, November 1st. We look at, man, there's so many other things. 2004, late February in the Carolinas. You folks in the Carolinas remember that. Listen, I mean, it was warm leading up to that storm. It dropped almost 2 feet of snow in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And then about 4 or 5 days later, well, 3 or 4 days later, it was in the 70s. So it's not a favorable setup, but you could throw the word favorable out the window when it comes to cutoff lows. I know I'm talking so confidently like it's going to happen, but man, cutoff lows are just totally different beast in weather in all times of the year, guys. So low pressure, it's moving over North Carolina, and then it scoots off the eastern end of North Carolina Sunday afternoon, and then the backside of this, you have just enough cold air aloft and at the surface, and this is switching it to some heavy snow. And I would argue that this would be heavy snow, and it's very close. And you keep this going here, it's continuing, it's moving very slow because it's a cutoff low. It's lost in the main flow of things. It's lost outside the main flow of things is what I meant. So this moves through. You get a period of heavy snow up into the Delmarva as you're waking up overnight Sunday into Monday morning, and then this heads on out, okay? That the latest European is biting a little bit. So what does the European show as far as snowfall accumulations? I'll show this very quickly. And, you can freeze it on your screen if you want. Do whatever you want to do. But I'm not going to hold it on here too long. But here it is. This is snow. Look at the little pocket of snow in Mississippi. It's showing pockets of heavier snow in North Carolina, even some snow down in South Carolina. So you can cut these totals in half because you will not have 10-to-1 ratio. So remember that. All right. Now you look at the GFS, which is really exciting everybody in the Carolinas this morning. Okay, same kind of deal. Cut off low energy. Same kind of situation, guys. Saturday morning, a pocket from this cutoff low is bringing a rain-snow mix or maybe all snow from Mississippi. Okay? This might swing into Alabama. We'll stop it right here. It's cold enough in the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee for this to just be all snow. A quick switch from rain to snow. So this is late Saturday evening. It's snowing in the North Carolina mountains. And you keep this going. Low pressure, beautiful position. Okay? It's even further off the coast than the European, but at the same time it's strengthened. I'll stop it right here. This is the wee hours of the morning, Sunday morning of this coming weekend. Suddenly, this thing is closed off at the right time. Okay, it is becoming negatively tilted at the right time for winter weather fans, and now you have snow showing up for a whole entire half of South Carolina and certainly North Carolina. And the latest GFS drops a snowstorm over areas of the Carolinas, even Virginia. I would argue this pink right up here is more than likely snow. Okay? So I know you folks who are viewing from South Carolina are getting excited, but please, even I woke up and I was like, holy smokes, this is getting a little bit more real. But please realize that 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to kill hopes and dreams, okay, but I have to tell myself this too. 9 times out of 10, these situations, not really, I'm just talking about winter weather threats in general, not cut off low situations, but 9 times out of 10, even at this range, it just doesn't materialize. But I can tell you, we're at the 100-hour range. We're almost fully under 100 hours. We will be by the end of the day today. So this is a real threat for somebody, okay? And this has the potential, as we're getting into Sunday evening, this turns into an all-out snowstorm for areas of Virginia. And then heavy snow gets over Washington, D.C., areas of Maryland, the Delmarva area, okay? But this has the potential to dump a lot of heavy snow for somebody. It does. It really does. I think it does. Okay? This is our energy for a weekend storm. This is what happens, guys. So it's digging in. It's a powerful piece of energy right here. And you really want this to interact with this. And it eventually does. This is the northern stream energy. Southern stream energy right here. This is coming in, has that positive tilt to it. Watch as these isobars close right here. So they're closing right here. In the last night's run that I showed you from the GFS, they closed over here. So that means it's stronger earlier in the game, which means it's going to tilt quicker and then cut. Because remember, a stronger storm gains more latitude. Just like with hurricanes, the stronger the systems, the more they are going to cut against those ridges, okay, and throw a wild card. So this closes off a little bit later. So that means that it digs a little bit later. So that means it's going to dig down here instead of last night's run, which it began to dig right here. You see that little tick north? And you see that tick south, tick north, tick south? That tick south in the latest GFS is what throws snow as far south as South Carolina. Okay? And this goes through. It's closed off low. It's neutrally tilted at this point. Saturday evening becomes negatively tilted. There's that tilt right. Let's go on and open her eyes right here. Let's see. At this point, it's beginning to get that negative tilt right there. Okay? And then we close her up and we click this. It's so slow going. And then we look at this. Then it really has that negative tilt right here. This is a strengthening storm throwing heavy precipitation back into the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic or wherever it's going to happen. Then it heads on out as a powerful system. So 2 negatively tilted troughs here in the next 5 days. One's about to happen today. This is the European ensemble. Very reliable thing to look at. It favors areas further north. Okay, which I can firmly believe. Okay, I really could. This is more of a mountain crusher. And this is a solid mean. I know you're thinking 4 to 5 inches really isn't a crusher, but this is an ensemble mean. So it's always going to keep things in perspective a little bit lower. Okay, this likes the idea of even some snow up the I-95 corridor, but you do have a nice signal pretty far south. And, you know, let's see. Well, the 06Z has not came in, but the 06Z Euro will be dropping here in the next hour. Now, the GFS ensemble, guys, is one of the best runs yet. It is basically a North Carolina and especially a Virginia special. But look at this signal down into North Carolina. South Carolina. The reason you have this is because of basically what the operational run showed. There is some members in here that shows the possibility of snow as far south as South Carolina. Okay? I'm not saying we're going to get several inches of snow, but I wouldn't be surprised if, something happens. I'll leave it at that. I'm not trying to get people's hopes up or disappointed, guys. I'm really not. But, the more these runs come in, the more it's like, okay, well, this has a legitimate chance of happening. But if I'm in North Carolina or Virginia especially, I would be a little bit more excited. For South Carolina, we need perfection almost with the track of this storm. We really do. And you need very close to perfection for North Carolina and Virginia and areas of the Mid-Atlantic. And I'm not ruling you guys out in the Northeast, okay? I'm not. Because this could trend better for you guys and worse for the Southeast. But we got to watch. But this is a solid ensemble mean for the GFS, guys. I mean, 2 to 3 inch mean. I mean, you can't ask for better. You got a 1 inch mean pretty much in Columbia, South Carolina. Okay, I'm not telling you we're just going to snow 1 inch of snow this weekend. That's not what I'm saying. It's just an ensemble. So stay tuned for tonight, guys. We got a lot of changes. Things are really changing, guys. I just wasn't expecting this. This is literally a needle in the haystacks type storm. If this was to happen, for example, if we were to get several inches of snow in the Carolinas and Virginia this weekend, it would literally fall in between 70-degree days. For example, widespread 70s today and tomorrow. And then after this storm, until we get into next week, the ridge immediately dominates the pattern. We get right back into the 70s next weekend. It's literally a low between two highs. So it's pretty wild to see. It really is, guys. So that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. Stay tuned. Follow me on Twitter, guys. I'm telling you, follow me on Twitter, not just because I want my followers higher, but you are going to get great information if you follow me, and then I'll retweet other people's information too, which is also great information. God bless everybody. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you this evening.